this was my interest in the area, to find out what can you really do to stop hackers breaking in cars, and what can you really do to make cars safer than they are today. And of course, this is your expertise. Could you explain how a risk analysis of this sort of cars look like, and maybe what's the difference between an autonomous car and the cars we have today in this software area?
Great question, Jutta. So in my opinion, we have to look at how the car industry evolved. The car industry evolved in 3 phases in terms of connectivity. The first one was the offline era. Nothing was connected, and the first connected era was when you had a mobile device and you could connect your mobile device to the car. From that point onward, it was theoretically possible to do something remotely to your car. So that's the first connected era. The second one is the one we're having right now, where your car has an IP address and you are connected to your GPS or via the internet to the back end. So to say, the second phase of the connected car. And as we know, whenever something has an IP address, it can be hacked, it can be accessed from anywhere in the world. So theoretically, it is possible. The third phase, which we are slowly moving toward, and this is where autonomous vehicle will also come in, is the car-to-X communication. So your car is not only communicating with the back end of your manufacturer, it is also communicating with other cars. It is also communicating with other peripheral devices. It is communicating with the traffic system. So to say, the car-to-X communication. So things are going to be more and more complex and more vulnerable to external attack. Now, to come back to your question, what can we do to prevent them? Today, the technology has been matured quite a bit. However, we still see cars in the street. I mean, the difference between a cell phone and a car is a cell phone is usually the lifespan is 3-4 years. 3 years is usually you change the cell phone. But a car is made for about 20 years. So huge technological changes take place over 20 years. You have to send patches, you have to send a lot of updates. So one of the vulnerable spots today is that. First of all, the cars that we made 10 years ago, we did not think about security. Those cars are still in the street. There is this port that is open. It's called the OBD2 onboard diagnostic port. You can actually put a jack into your car and take control of the car. Or you can also do remotely if you have some remote access like GPS and stuff. So coming back to be in track, to answer your question, what can we do? There are several technologies to protect your car today. One of them is firewall. So pretty much the firewall that we had in the traditional IT domain, you can put a firewall to protect more sensitive part of the vehicle network. For example, you want to secure the brake, you want to secure the steering, you have to secure those things from your infotainment system. That's one. Second advancement is we have achieved quite a great deal in cryptography in the car, because cryptography, as you know, if you do cryptography on software, it's expensive, but the car by nature has to be real time, meaning the computation time has to be very, very small. We're talking about milliseconds, sometimes even microseconds. So when you apply cryptography on top of that, the runtime, the execution time explodes. However, we have made advancement with hardware secured module from the hardware manufacturers that computes those cryptographic computation in a much faster time compared to software crypto. So that is another advancement we have. The third one is we're standardizing. There is a standard. For safety, we had a standard for a long time, but for security, automotive industry did not have a standard so far. So the government did not have anything to point toward that, hey, manufacturers, you have to comply to this standard or that. So this standard in safety, it all was, and it still is, the ISO 26262. So they have to be compliant to that, the manufacturers, the OEMs. Now we will have from next year, hopefully, a standard for automotive security that is known as the ISO SAE 21434. It's a joint initiative of ISO and SAE, the Society of American Engineers. So that is another big advancement in my opinion.